you ready?
10.
Okie dokie, Norman.
No!
Did you know that the guy who wrote these stories also wrote these stories? Yeah, I was a bit shocked too. Roald Dahl's The Man from the South is a suspenseful short story first published in 1948. It is known for its gripping tension and dark humor. The story revolves around a bizarre wager between an old man and a young American sailor at a hotel in Jamaica. The old man, who introduces himself as Carlos, bets the sailor that his cigarette lighter will not ignite 10 times in a row. If the sailor wins, Carlos will give him a Cadillac. If the lighter fails even once, the sailor must sacrifice one of his fingers. The story begins with the narrator meeting a man named Carlos at a hotel. Carlos offers a chilling bet to a young American sailor who boasts about his cigarette lighter's reliability. The bet is that the lighter must light 10 times consecutively without failing. If the sailor wins, he gets Carlos's Cadillac, but if he loses, Carlos will cut off one of the sailor's fingers. As the bet unfolds, the tension builds around whether the lighter will work. Just before the 10th attempt, a woman bursts in revealing that Carlos is her husband and he has a history of making this dangerous wager with others. It's also revealed that Carlos has taken many fingers in previous bets, and the woman herself only has 2 fingers left, a testament to how many times she had stopped him before. The central theme revolves around the tension between risk and reward. The story examines how far people are willing to go for material gain or to prove themselves, even when the stakes are high and irrational. The Man from the South has been adapted several times in various formats. It was that good. First of all, Alfred Hitchcock Presents in 1960. This was one of the most famous adaptations of the story, featuring Peter Lorre as Carlos and Steve McQueen as the sailor. This version captures the suspense and builds the psychological tension that characterizes the original story. Then in Roald Dahl's Tales of the Unexpected, made in 1979, this British TV series often adapted Dahl's stories. The Man from the South was included, keeping closely to the original plot. This show heightened Dahl's unique blend of dark humor and suspense, and this particular story became one of its most famous episodes. Another famous adaptation was in 4 Rooms, 1995. Quentin Tarantino paid homage to the story in the anthology film 4 Rooms, specifically in the segment titled The Man from Hollywood. In this modernized version, Tarantino himself plays a character who reenacts the bet, making it more contemporary but retaining the core element of risk and dark humor. The setting is in a penthouse in a fancy hotel, and the bet revolves around a lighter. These adaptations emphasize different aspects of the story, but they all retain the underlying tension and moral ambiguity of the original. Each brings its own style. Hitchcock focuses on pure suspense, while Tarantino adds a layer of absurdity and modern dialogue. Overall, The Man from the South remains one of Roald Dahl's most enduring short stories due to its simple yet thrilling plot and exploration of human nature's darker impulses. You might wonder, just as I did, why did Roald Dahl write this? I mean, he's more famous for children's novels. Well, Roald Dahl wrote The Man from the South as part of his early career as a short story writer, with a primary aim to entertain readers through his dark, suspenseful, and sometimes macabre storytelling. While Dahl is best known today for his children's books, his adult fiction often delves into the unsettling and twisted aspects of human nature. This story fits well into that framework as it explores themes of risk, obsession, and deception in a gripping, compact narrative. The motivation behind writing this particular story can be understood within the context of his broader goals during that period of his career. Dahl was fascinated with creating tension and surprise in his stories. The Man from the South is an excellent example of this, as it slowly builds suspense around the seemingly simple act of lighting a cigarette. Dahl crafted many of his stories to leave readers on edge, unsure of what would happen next, often culminating in an unexpected or twisted ending. This story allowed him to explore how ordinary events can become extraordinary through risk and psychological manipulation. Dahl was deeply interested in human psychology, particularly the unpredictability of people's actions when faced with strange or dangerous situations. In this story, the wager between Carlos and the young sailor taps into Dahl's fascination with how far individuals are willing to go when enticed by the promise of a reward, even at the risk of serious harm. He often explored how people's darker impulses can emerge in extreme circumstances. Dahl's experiences during World War II, where he served as a fighter pilot, may have influenced his writing. His close encounters with danger and death likely gave him an acute awareness of risk and the randomness of fate. These themes are woven into The Man from the South, as the characters gamble with their safety and bodies on the whim of a stranger. The tension between control and chance is evident in this and many other stories by Dahl, perhaps a reflection of his wartime experiences with life and death decisions. Dahl aimed to shock and entertain his audience. The Man from the South is structured to keep readers guessing, building up to a surprise revelation when the woman intervenes and reveals the darker history behind Carlos's bets. Dahl often used surprise endings or twists in his short stories to leave a lasting impact on his audience. This kind of storytelling was popular in the mid-20th century fiction, especially in magazines where many of Dahl's early stories were published. During the time Dahl wrote The Man from the South, he was primarily writing for adult audiences, many of whom appreciated darker and more morally ambiguous stories. The post-war period, when this story was written, saw a rise in popularity for fiction that dealt with psychological complexity, risk, and the darker side of human nature. Dahl's story fits this trend, providing readers with suspenseful, morally complex tales where characters face strange and dangerous situations. In essence, Dahl wrote The Man from the South to explore the intersection of risk, psychology, and human behavior while creating a thrilling, edge-of-your-seat narrative. It's a story designed to entertain and unsettle, leaving readers thinking about the nature of gambling and the hidden motivations of people who appear harmless on the surface.
Yeah, I didn't know that. But can you imagine your pinky? Your pinky, there's no way I would do that for even a McLaren. Because if you think about it, they did this nowadays. A guy would probably have a McLaren or a Ferrari, and you could sell it for about 200 to 250 grand. But could you give up your pinky for 200 or 250 grand? Would you? Drop your answer below in the comments.
It's in time none of us are ever gonna forget. Norman, are you ready? None of us are ever... Perfect. This is one of those moments in time none of us are ever gonna forget. Norman, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Ted, are you ready?
Ready.
Okie dokie, Norman. Begin.
My finger!